The double-edged sickle is an incredibly punchy primary weapon to deal with the oil-swilling clankers. Do not sleep on this weapon, folks. The combination of its fire rate, accuracy, and scaling AP and damage makes this weapon an absolute powerhouse against the Automaton Scum. Unlike other primary weapons, this weapon requires very precise considerations when building around it to get the best result. Your choice of armor, the support weapon, and the playstyle will matter massively. More on that in a moment, folks. And the weapon itself makes incredibly short work of the vast majority of the automaton forces with ease. It bursts down commissars, regular chaff, swiftly deals with striders, especially if you hit their missiles, and perhaps most importantly, devastators and berserkers, regardless of what the heat level is, will go down easily if you're hitting their head just because of the pure output and fire rate of this weapon. If you weren't already aware, the weapon's AP and damage ramps up as the heat increases, going at AP 2, 55 damage from 0 to 25% heat, dealing no damage to ourselves, up to 26 to 50% heat gives us AP 3 and 55 damage with 10 damage per second to ourselves. Then 51 to 90%, this gets pretty spicy at AP 3 with 70 damage and 20 damage to us being applied. And finally, 91% plus keeps the damage at 70 but gives us AP 4 at the cost of 50 DPS with the fire status effect being applied to us. Where this weapon really begins to shine is its ability to melt hulks down with well-placed flurries to the eye when the weapon is at the higher heat levels. This is also the case for the vents on tanks, turrets, and other automaton installations. Gunships also get shredded. This is further supported by our choice of support weapon and stratagems, which make this combo an absolute wrecking ball. But before we move on to that, it's important to address the main concern that puts Helldivers off this weapon, and that is the damage that it does to the player as it ramps up. I'll keep this simple, folks. If you're not using armor with the inflammable passive and the vitality booster perk, do not bother using this weapon. I'll put some footage in the background here whilst I explain this. As you can see, when we're wearing this armor and using this perk, you do not sustain damage until you literally set yourself on fire, and then you can easily lie down to remove the debuff and wait for the weapon to cool. If you're already laid down, you immediately extinguish yourself and only take a small amount of damage, and you can just pop a stim to heal through this. It's really nice. Now, with that being said, to take this weapon to the next level, we need to adopt a specific playstyle and stratagem setup alongside this armor in primary. The core idea is very simple. Use the Dickle until it's overheating, and if you need to, pop a stim to maintain the output. If you see something of the heavier persuasion, switch to the Quasar cannon and throw the ultimatum in as well for good measure to give yourself further breathing room when dealing with larger targets such as factory striders, tanks, and create the ideal combo that negates the need to reload either of your energy weapons. The Quasar cannon puts out superb damage against heavy boss enemies. It is our one-shot solution to deal with hulks, turrets, AA installations, gunships, and it's absolutely fantastic at sniping turrets off the top of factory striders. Combine this with the ultimatum and a barrage of our stratagem choices, more on that in a moment, and you can effectively bully factory striders into an early scrap heap. The way the Quasar cannon complements this setup cannot be understated. Give it a try, folks. It absolutely slaps. In terms of the stratagem picks, it will come as no surprise. The 500 kg is a top-notch pick for all the obvious reasons. It can clear screens of enemies with ease, which is particularly helpful when there's a wall of devastators, berserkers, and of course heavy threats like tanks, hulks, and factory striders. It just allows you to reset, folks, and lets you get back on your feet when things start to go south. But it is also fantastic to go on the offensive with when in combination with the ultimatum. You can compound this offensive playstyle even further by using the orbital precision strike to snipe targets that would usually cause a problem. Landing an OPS on a strider in tandem with a quick ultimatum shot, Quasar shot, and or a 500 kg cripples these nuisances very quickly. And you could also use the OPS to deal with turrets, and if you play on the front foot, you really feel like a point man of sorts, taking the fight to the Automaton Scum in style. Speaking of style points, our final choice of stratagem is the jetpack for all the obvious and right reasons. This thing allows us to traverse the battlefield quickly and reposition into both offensive and defensive positions at the drop of a hat, depending on what the tides of battle are throwing our way. I often find that jetpacking into the air and beginning to charge the Quasar to knock out a heavy threat before they have a chance to respond to the swift and cunning repositioning you've just utilized is incredibly effective. You just need to make sure you're making the right decision and running at full speed with stamina still available to get the most out of your jump. With that in mind, this leads us on nicely to our armor of choice. I play jetpack loadouts exclusively with light armor to get the most distance, but you may well feel safer going with medium or heavy armor. Just be warned, you won't get as much distance out of the jetpack jump, even if you go from a higher vantage point. This loadout, of course, requires inflammable armor to stop us from being melted by our own double-edged sickle buff. Check out this next video, it's got you covered. Take care of yourselves, keep having fun, come check out a stream on YouTube or Twitch, and I'll see you in the next one.